Hare Krishna. Welcome to my Radh Madhav channel. This is Sindhu here. Very happy to be associating with you all after a long time. I've come up with a very, very common and practical and, a very thing which we are all facing it, or you can say the strongest enemy, and how it's the one of the biggest, gateway to the hell, and also the very negative trait, of everybody. As you can see in the image, eternal enemy of the soul. So we are going to see about this today, my dear friends and devotees. Let me start with a small prayer and introduction. Then we can go ahead discussing the topic. Thank you. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, how to overcome this strongest enemy, lust? Okay, we are going to see about lust today. And basically, before going into what Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I just want to give a small introduction on lust. Lust is a force which binds us strongest to the material world. It's no wonder they struggle to control it. So, no need to feel bad about yourself, right? It is possible to defeat it first. We have to introspect. Without willpower, we have all been in this material world for a long period of time. Due to this, our spiritual consciousness has become contaminated and we have become conditioned to our bodies. In order to free ourselves from this influence of the material energy and become re-established in our original spiritual position, full of peace, bliss and love for Sri Krishna, so we need to take to a purificatory process. Let's see what is that. Again, only with our willpower we can do it. Otherwise, we can't fight it. So, the best thing about this here is that Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada instructs that a devotee doesn't need to put any special extra effort to fighting this vice and these bad habits like lust, anger, greed, whatever, illusion, they all disappear automatically, Prabhupada says, while pursuing this process of Bhakti Yoga. So that is the process, that we will be seeing in detail now. So detach from the material mentality and attach ourselves to Sri Krishna. So that is the aim. So that only purifies us. And the most important is chanting. Right? We all know chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we come out of it gradually. So lust means what we saw, a feeling of strong desire. It need not be for a person, it's even for an object, Example, you may be, interested to buy a new sleek car. You may just love to cook and eat fish or whatever your choice. You may, etc., etc. We will see that in detail now. So let's move on to the topic. Okay. So, Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, lust is the biggest enemy of men and women in this world, right? So he's spoken so many verses on this in the 3rd chapter, Bhagavad Gita. In 3rd chapter, 36th verse, Arjuna is asking a question. Why is that one ends up committing sins even if he is unwilling to do so? Krishna. So we also have the same question, right? Like Arjuna. Sometimes we do not want to do something, we exactly end up doing that thing. So what Sri Krishna says, we will see. In the 36th verse, Arjuna is asking, that's what I told you now. And in the 37th verse, what Krishna is telling, replying to Arjuna, he's saying, it is lust only, O Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So, lust forces a person to do things even if he does not want to do it. So, Sri Krishna says here, lust is the sinful enemy of this world. Now, we will see what is the origin of this lust, from where this is born or sprouted. In the spiritual world, everyone has love for Sri Krishna. But when one wants to enjoy in this material world away from Krishna, then that's when the love transforms into lust. So again, Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport beautifully in the 37th verse purport. He says, when a living entity comes, in contact with his eternal love for Krishna, is transformed into lust. In association with the mode of passion, or in other words, the sense of love of Godhead, becomes transformed into lust, as milk is in contact with sour tamarind transformed into yogurt. Right? I'll repeat this. A living entity comes in contact with creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust. In association with the mode of passion, or in other words, sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust, as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Right? So that is what Prabhupada is describing here in detail in the purport. So, how can it be satisfied? Can it be satisfied? That is a major question here. See, no matter how we try, we cannot satisfy it. And again in the 39th verse, Krishna says, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. See, example we can take of Ravana. Ravana had many queens, and one of his queens was Mandodari, who was very beautiful and chaste wife, but still he was impelled by lust. You can also quote many such examples of Vishwamitra Muni, and many others who were conquering, having this problem of lust from the scriptures, right? Ravana also wanted to enjoy with Mother Sita. This desire is very strong even today in this material life. As prisoners are bound by the shackles in prison, similarly in this material world, everybody are bound by the shackles of lust. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport of verse 39, the lust is a symbol of ignorance, by which the living entity is kept within this material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually the so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate strongest enemy. And Prabhupada also says, it is not just a desire to enjoy with a partner. Any form of sense gratification means any desire to satisfy our senses rather than satisfying Krishna's senses is considered as lust. So as long as we are affected by lust, we will be miserable. So what Prabhupada is saying is here, trying to satisfy the lust is like the pouring the ghee in the fire. The more we try to satisfy it, the more the lust becomes stronger. And when it is not satisfied, what happens? It gives rise to the anger, and many times it makes a person insane at any cost. So we should give up this strongest enemy, lust. So at what stage we should control it? At what stage we should control it? So the human life is very special. In this life, it's possible for us to free ourselves from lust and transform it into love for Krishna. So it covers our real knowledge. We forget that we are part and parcels of Krishna. We start thinking we are material beings and purpose of our life is to enjoy our material senses. But lust has to be controlled. And it can be done. So we must try our best to control it in the beginning, as you can see here. Oh, therefore, best of Bharatas in the very beginning, bring the senses under control and slay this enemy called desire, which is the embodiment of sin and destroys knowledge and realization, Krishna says. Right? So, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, which is the lust. So, how? And Prabhupada also explains in the purport detail, by regulating the senses, you have to do that. And first step is that we should not allow our senses to engage in any form of activities which will aggravate it. Right? Also, it's important we should flood our mind with Krishna conscious activities and thoughts. By doing that, our mind gets busy with these Krishna conscious activities, and there is no time for to do other lusty things. So as of now, what is our major understanding is that we will become happy if we satisfy our material desires. The truth is that we will become happy if we do not engage in satisfying our senses or engaging our senses in fulfilling our material desires, and we'll become extremely happy if we start engaging our senses in serving Sri Krishna. This is only given in 41st verse, as you can see in the image. So, like one other simple way I want to tell, see, Krishna likes to eat rice, dal, sabji, milk, sweets, puris, pakoras, samosas, etc. So, whatever I cook and offer it to Krishna and then eat it, then it is not called as lust. It is not under the category of sense gratification, even however tasty it is. So that is what, when we follow this advice, Krishna's advice and Srila Prabhupada teachings to give up this lust, I think we can conquer it very easily and be happy. This is my humble request to you all, okay? And now, what is the best way, the simple, best quick fix formula, you can say, Krishna says, is that steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, by Krishna consciousness, and conquer by spiritual strength the insatiable enemy known as lust. He says in the 43rd verse, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence and conquer by spiritual strength that insatiable enemy called lust. So, and Krishna also says, control lust before it controls you. Destroy lust before it destroys you. So, we saw how it can be the best way, as per the Bhagavad Gita, and what is the most efficient way to control the lusty desires. Surrender to Sri Krishna, constant surrender and constant chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is strongly recommended. And the prasadam, Krishna prasadam, is so effective that automatically all these lusty desires disappear from our heart. And Prabhupada has also quoted, read, chant Hare Krishna always and read Bhagavad Gita as it is and be happy. Right? And from the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has quoted some verse on lust. Unless one is very strong in knowledge, patience, and proper bodily, mental, and intellectual behavior, controlling one's lusty desires is extremely difficult, unless one is under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service. Right? In Bhagavatam 6.4.14 purport, Prabhupada says, one is always servant of lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, envy, and so forth. But if one obtains sufficient strength in spiritual advancement, one can control them. He will always be transcendently situated. One who obtains such control, untouched by the modes of material nature, by engaging oneself in devotional service. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.19.19, Sri Krishna says, those who are under the control of Maya, and specifically under the control of lusty desires, are called Maya Mriga. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show his costless mercy to these Maya Mrigas, the people of this material world who suffer mainly because of these lusty desires, and how, if they follow the principles of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and always think of Krishna and always in full, Krishna consciousness, and chant Hare Krishna and take this advantage of this, sublime method, actually what is, the relationship with the Supreme Lord, everything will be clear. So as we all know, this age, Kali age itself is a very fallen age. People have completely forgotten the Lord. Right? So, we should take this advantage of this human form of life and conquer this insatiable lust, right? Enemy, the strongest enemy of us. So this should be our only main aim. So that's it, my dear friends and devotees. I think it was like very, 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 practical points. And, if we follow Krishna's words and how, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we all know Krishna's everything, Bhuktaram Yagnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Shukritam Sarvabhutanam, Yatva Mam Shanti Mrichati, right? In the 5th chapter, 29th verse, it says it all. Krishna is the maintainer, and proprietor, and we are all the eternal servants of Krishna. So we have to work in full knowledge, and what to say, we have to mold ourselves in such a way that we do whatever we have to do, whatever activities we are doing, we have to keep Krishna in center. And also what Krishna is requesting from all his devotees in the 9th chapter, 26th verse, I think, just you offer me a small leaf flower, because everything belongs to Krishna. He's not in expectation, expecting anything from us. Whatever, with the love and devotion, with the mood we serve him. So that is what Krishna wants us to do. And so with that, I would like to end my topic here. Catch you all with another motivational video. Until then, thank you all. Hare Krishna. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you.